What's up, everybody out there in internet land? It's your brother Moshe coming to you live from the Man Cave. And welcome to Guy on the Couch with a Glass of Whiskey Productions. Yeah, I know you shouldn't put ice in whiskey. I've been wanting to make this video for about 2 weeks now. Haven't done it because it's going to mean closure for something, or more like the someone that I really didn't want to say goodbye to. I know after I made a video with Phil the handicapper, I got a couple of new subscribers, and there may be certain people watching the channel, and I'm sorry I didn't make the video before. But I'm sure after you watch this, you'll kind of understand why, or I hope you'll understand why, and kind of cut me a little slack. Phillip Dean Kirkman is no longer with us, and hopefully he went home to where his soul was created, in heaven. He passed about 2 weeks ago from a massive coronary. The good news is he died in church at Bible study. And for Phil, I know that probably meant a lot to him. He's one of the rare breeds who called himself a Christian and acted like a Christian. And I have not wanted to make this video because I have not wanted to say goodbye. I'm getting tired of saying goodbye to good people. And he wasn't perfect, and he had his issues just like we all do. But one of Phil's philosophies is, if you're a friend in need, you're a friend indeed. And I haven't met too many people like that in my life. My mother was one, and not just because she was my mom, it's just who she was as a person. She was very giving and very generous, and loved to help people. My friend Pablo, who passed away from a drug overdose, again, one of those types of people, just a huge, huge heart and a huge, huge soul. And Phillip Dean Kirkman was one of those types of people. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Phillip and what he meant to me. He came into my life at a point in time where I just was not very trusting of people. Over the last 5 years, me and my family have been betrayed and abandoned by people who we've done nothing but help. And I've had that in my own personal life, and I say all the time, I used to be a people person until people ruined it for me. Part of that is just getting older and mature, and knowing who you are, and just getting older and getting tired of people's bullshit, and just knowing yourself and knowing what you want in your life and what you don't want in your life. And a few years ago, I'm not dealing with drama. There's just normal people go through stuff, and you're friends and you're supposed to be there for each other. But unfortunately, my experience has been you're there for people when they're down, and then when you're going through a downtime, and you naturally go to the people that you've been there for, and you kind of get the excuses. And Phillip came into my life in a point where I just was not very trusting, and I knew intellectually there are still good people out there in the world. As the years go by, there are less and less people like that. But Phil was one of them, and we became very close friends in the 6 months that we knew each other. Oh, and real quick, if he owed you any money, I mean, you're not going to get it. I think my account with him was up to like 300, and I should have had it in my own name, but I didn't. So if you're wondering where your money is or why Phil's not calling you back, Phil's not here anymore. He was a special guy, and the only regret that I have is I really didn't tell him what he meant to me. He just refreshed that there are still some good people in the world. There still are some people that are believers that are sincere and very genuine in the way that they treat people, and super non-judgmental. If he had a chance, he'd tell you all about Jesus and what Jesus did for him. And I admired that in him. And he just refreshed in my mind that there are still some good people that aren't going to take advantage of you. And I'll share the last really good memory I have of him. And then, of course, moral to the story, and maybe some helpful advice to not do what I did. Or maybe not to do what I did, but maybe to be better than what I was. He was one of the few Southerners I ever met that I really enjoyed talking to, and maybe it's because we were both raised the same. And he really had what they call Southern hospitality, and just a really good guy in general. We used to sit here, have conversations for hours, and I didn't have to repeat myself, and he didn't take offense, and I never took offense to him. Well, he had just gotten some stuff out of storage, and there was a bunch of movies, and he went through it, and he found this movie, Porky's. Now, maybe a lot of you millennials haven't heard of Porky's, but when Porky's came out, it was very risque for its type at the time. Now it would be considered not such a big deal. And there were two scenes. Man, we both laughed so hard. There were tears in our eyes, and our bellies was hurting right after. And I think everyone knows the two scenes. The first scene would be where the assistant gym guy was sleeping with the female gym, and she was, howling like a wildebeest in the gym. And then there was the next scene where, what was her name? I think it's Miss Ballbricker or something like that, was talking to the principal, and they call the penis a tallywhacker. I mean, that whole scene, we were just hysterical laughing. And Phil had one of those, that type of laugh that when you hear it, even though you may not find whatever's going on is to be funny because he's laughing, you're laughing. And he was a very special type of person. And I guess the moral of the story is, if you have good people in your life or a good friend, you need to tell them what they mean to you, and you need to show them some appreciation. I showed Phil appreciation in my actions, but I really wish that I would have sat down and spoke to him. The other moral to the story is 9 years ago he had a bypass, and he never changed the way that he ate, and he never changed his level of physical activity. And he definitely died before his time. He was 61 and died of a massive coronary. So I guess there's two morals to this story. Listen to your doctors, take their advice, change your life. And if you have people that you love in your life and they're good friends, you need to tell them, not just show them. I know sometimes it's hard for us to do that sometimes. For me, it was hard because I've been vulnerable to people like this before. And after a while, it starts to change your character. And you start becoming less apt to say such things because you're afraid the same thing's going to happen again. So why even bother? So I guess that's the two morals to the story. You think I would have learned that with my mother passing, because there were lots of things I should have said to her many years before, but I said pretty much what I needed to say when she was on her deathbed. Not everything I wanted to say, but most of what I wanted to say. And the hardest part that I deal with after the death is the shoulda, woulda, couldas. And don't have to be that way, but Lord knows I am rock-headed and stubborn as the day is long, and it sometimes takes a good brow beating for me to get the point. Kind of always been that way. I've been strong-willed and strong-minded for quite some time. So, to one of the finest men I ever had the pleasure of meeting and having in my life. To Phillip Dean Kirkman, I hope you're in heaven, and I hope you got to ask Jesus all the questions you ever wanted to ask. He wasn't a big drinker. We did go out once, and his drink was Goldschlager. The only thing he would drink. Not even beer. He also used to get on me for being a bit of a hermit, and I need to get out. And we talked about Myrtle Beach, and he told me it was the Redneck Riviera. The Redneck Riviera. I busted out laughing like you couldn't believe, because it isn't much truer than that. And within that subculture, you have two different types of rednecks. You have your good old down-home southern boy or southern girl. They're just really good-hearted people, and they really take that southern hospitality to be really true, and they're not going to judge you because you're a Yankee, and they don't care that you're from the North or any of that other stuff like so many other Southerners do. And truth be told, the Civil War is still very much alive. They don't like us Northerners very much. They don't. Redneck Riviera. And with that being said, this is really not a place to live. It's really not a place to come on vacation, because all there is to do here is drink. There's little amusement parks, so, if you have kids, you could have a good time with the kids. But all there really is to do down here is to drink, do drugs, and get laid. That's pretty much it. If you're looking for culture, not going to happen here. If you're looking for stimulating intellectual conversation, not really. And it's one of the reasons why I've become a bit of a hermit down here. Southerners will make certain statements, and then you'll make a statement. And really quick, the last time I went out, he says, you're the first Yankee I could even tolerate talking to for more than 15 minutes. And I says, you know what? I feel the same way. You're one of the few Southerners I've met that I could tolerate talking to for more than 15 minutes. And he took offense to that. Conversation changed a little bit after that. And shortly after that, I knew it was my time to leave. Didn't really want to, but when I leave the house to go out and to be social. Maybe have a beer or two, play a game of pool, enjoy some nice conversation with some new people, and head on home. So this is really not a place for me. And that's the best way I think I can honor Phil and his life, is to do this video. So again, Phil, I already miss you. He was my only friend down here. Love y'all. God bless.